Welcome back to Pina Cucina. Today we're going to be making a stuffed chicken without bones, which in Italian is called gallina imbottita senza ossa. This is the sort of thing we used to make when we used to go on a picnic, and that usually happened on the day after Easter, which was called pascarella. Now obviously we're going to need a whole chicken. For the stuffing, that's all you need now to prepare the stuffing with. We're having breadcrumbs and cheese, of course, they're the staple diet of our region, and mushrooms, some olives, some prosciutto, some speck, capsicums, eggplant, some onion, and some pine nuts. Hopefully it'll turn out really, really nice. Okay, now the first thing we need to do is take the bones out of the chicken. So it's basically like undressing the chicken. The only little bit that you have to be careful with is right at the tail. You might have to cut the bone, or if you're clever enough, you can go right through where there's the joint. So make sure you don't go through the other side to cut the skin. You can sort of feel it when you don't have any more bone here, so you know that you're there. Okay, but just leave that. If you have a look inside the chicken, it's got like a membrane, and that's what's holding it really together. See this? This is really tough. So we just break that and cut it, and don't worry about messing up the meat. And just cut around where the bones are, and use your fingers to pry away the meat, and just pull away like that. Just use your thumb. When you get to some tendons, you just cut them off. Now this is the bone of the leg, the upper leg, or should I say the thigh. So we're going to cut around it. Should be quite simple to do it where the joint is. And you just pull. And as you can see, it's getting undressed. I have reached on one side on the wing, so I've got a fine feel around where the joint is. I think I found it. This is something like surgery. We're nearly done. There's the joint. And this is pretty much the basic done. It's the wishbone. It's an inside-out chicken. Okay. I like to just keep the lower part of the leg intact, and I'll just take the thigh bone. So all we're going to do is just go in there. And it's quite simple. You can reveal the whole leg like that, and we cut on the joint, and we open up the flesh. That's one done. Okay, and there's the other one. You can take out the wings as well in the same way, but I like to leave them on because it gives it shape, otherwise it's just too limp. And there's no shape to it. Now, some of this meat we take off and we chop up and put it back with the stuffing, because I don't know about you, but my family don't like breast that much. So whatever is loose inside the chicken, like little bits of breast and stuff like that, I also put in with the stuffing, so it's a more even, so you don't have too much of one and not the other, because when it's sliced, it will be really lovely. With these bones, you can make a bit of soup or stock. We don't throw them out, whatever you do. So I'm taking some of this chicken off, just to leave a little bit for the stock. And this is all the chicken that I got out, which was loose, so I'm just gonna slice it up finely. We'll put that aside from when we're ready to mix the stuffing. There we are, this is ready, so we put it aside now. Now we get ready for the stuffing. Now for the stuffing, it's just a matter of getting the vegetables ready. We start with the eggplant. So I'm going to use only half of this eggplant today, and it's got to be cut into tiny little pieces. So we're going to be cutting it into slices first and then dice it. So we'll leave this aside, and we'll do the same with the capsicum. And again, we're going to be dicing it small pieces. Cut it longwise and then crosswise, and you get the little dices. Okay, now we got all these vegetables diced up. Now, the other thing we're going to be dicing up is also mushrooms, but we're doing that later because they take less to cook. So we're going to start cooking these. They have to be cooked at least half to 3/4 the way, because the rest of the way we will cook in the chicken, because nearly everything that we're putting into the stuffing has got to be sort of half cooked. So we're putting some olive oil. Now you need a little bit more than usual because the eggplant will take up the olive oil. That should be okay. Now the oil seems to be nice and hot, so we're going to put the capsicums in first. I'm cooking the capsicums first because the eggplant will take up all the oil and then it will release it. Okay, now they look like they're about 3/4 cooked, so we're taking them out and adding them to the bowl. Now we put the eggplant. You see what I mean? The oil is all soaked up by the eggplant. That's what eggplant does. It first soaks it up and then it releases it. So you need to stir them. Oh, this takes me back. When these things were in season, capsicums and eggplant, that's all everybody used to eat. The whole village will smell of fried capsicums and eggplant. And oh boy, was it yummy. They used to slice up the whole bread, especially with the homemade bread, the fried capsicums and eggplant together with potatoes, fried potatoes. And they used to put it in this bread. Oh, it was just heaven. Now while these are cooking, I'm just going to get some mushrooms ready. We don't need too many. About 4. They can be sliced because they're quite soft when you cut them. Now I have washed these. A lot of people don't like washing them, but I like to wash them. Okay, now you can see how the oils come back. So they're quite ready, so we're taking them out. We're leaving some of the oil in there, so I'm just going to try and drain them as much as possible. Okay, we need just not a whole onion, just a little bit just for flavour, like half an onion. Any colour will do, doesn't have to be red. I like red. Just does it up small and throw it in. Now the onion doesn't have to be cooked, just got to be translucent, which looks like we're there now. We're going to throw in the mushrooms and put the fire up. Now the mushrooms are almost like the eggplant. They take up the oil and then when they're done they release it. So we're nearly there. They don't have to be cooked that much. Now this looks like they're done, so we're just going to add them to the mixture. Okay, now the rest of the ingredients are going to be some pitted olives. I think there should be plenty, otherwise it'll be too overpowering. A little bit of prosciutto crudo, roughly about 70 grams of prosciutto crudo. And I'm just going to be slicing it into little pieces. Okay, now we're done. We're throwing it in together with the rest of the stuff. And we're going to be chopping up a little bit of my speck. This turned out fantastic this year and it was so simple to do. We'll have to do a segment on how you can make your own. Here we go. We just take a bit of the skin off because I'm cutting it the other way. It's easier if you take some of the skin off like that, and then you slice it into tiny little pieces. First into strips and then crossways. That's roughly about 10 little slices here. Okay, this is done. We're throwing it into the mixture as well. Now we're going to be putting some pine nuts, just a handful. Okay, now we're going to be putting some seasonings, some pepper, pinch of salt, and breadcrumbs and cheese. This is pecorino cheese, and I like to put in equal amounts. So we're going to put 1 and 2.5. And the same with the breadcrumbs. 1, 2.5. And we just mix everything together now. Okay, this looks like it's nicely mixed together. So we're just going to prepare our chicken. We need to seal the top part of it. So you need a needle and thread. And try and use a coloured thread so that way you can see to remove it when it's cooked. There we are, you can see. Nice surgery, eh? Now we're going to put a little bit of salt on the inside of the chicken and we're going to start stuffing it. You can use your hands. It's a bit hard to use a spoon. And when you get to the leg part, pay special attention on the leg, so you just stuff it a little bit more so you create like as if you still have the bone in there. You want to fill in all the little pockets. Make sure you use up all of the stuffing. It's better to have a nice plump chicken instead of a limpy one. So we're going to close this up first down to here and then across that way. Okay, there we go. Last couple of stitches. Yeah, it looks beautiful, doesn't it? Doesn't look like it's missing any bones. So Just bring it into shape. Check that there are no holes. Okay, and it's ready for the oven. Okay, now we've got the chicken ready, almost ready. We're brushing some butter on it. The butter will give it a beautiful golden color. I particularly like to do the back of it because that's going to be sitting on the grill and we don't want it to stick. Okay, so we put this on our dish. Look at that, what a perfect fit. Got a few more brushes on the edge. You can always add a little bit more later on while it's cooking. And we put it in the oven. We start off at 250 degrees. And then if we find that it's cooking too fast, then we'll turn it down. And here we are. It's beautifully cooked. I've had it resting out of the oven for about 20 minutes, maybe a little longer. Now it's very cool to touch. This would probably be better to leave overnight and cut it, but it's at room temperature now, so we can cut it. First of all, we're going to take out the thread. So if you get the end bit, you should come off easily. You just pull, just like that. And if it doesn't pull, you just cut it. Just cut it there and start somewhere else, wherever you can see it. There we go. We got all of it. Once we've taken out the stitches, we can cut it now. I like to cut the leg first, so it's out of my way. Okay, put it aside. And it's just a matter of slicing it. Make sure your knife is nice and sharp. Look at that, that is absolutely beautiful. Look at the lovely colors. Now you can serve this with my broccolini or my endive dish or a simple salad. And I think this will make heads turn. There you go. Pina Cucina's stuffed chicken. Enjoy.